हेलो एवरीवन, आज हम डिस्कस करेंगे NCERT चैप्टर 3 इंटीरियर ऑफ द अर्थ फ्रॉम द बुक फंडामेंटल्स ऑफ फिजिकल जियोग्राफी। इंटरव्यू में पूछे जाने वाले 20 मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट चेन क्वेश्चंस आज हम कवर करेंगे, चाहे वो KVS, NVS हो या PhD इंटरव्यू। सिस्मिक वेव्स और शैडो जोन से जो ट्रिकी क्वेश्चंस आते हैं उन्हें आज हम NCERT लैंग्वेज में समझेंगे। तो चलो आज कुछ नया सीखते हैं। फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन, व्हाई इट इज़ इम्पॉसिबल टू ऑब्जर्व द अर्थ्स इंटीरियर डायरेक्टली? सो द आंसर can be like this: we cannot reach the center because the temperature and pressure increase significantly with depth. Our deepest drill, Kola Super Deep borehole, is only 12 km deep, whereas the Earth's radius is 6,370 km. For example, it is like trying to describe the feeling of a giant fruit by only scratching the outermost skin. Next question, since direct observation is limited, what are the primary indirect sources we rely on? So the main indirect sources are first analysis of properties of matter, for example temperature, pressure and density. Next, meteors, as they are made of similar materials of the interior of the earth. Next is the gravitation. Next is the gravitation and magnetic field and also seismic activity. Seismic activity is the most important indirect sources. Next question, how do meteors provide evidence about the Earth's interior? Meteors are not from Earth but they developed from the same solar nebula. Their structure is similar to planets. When they reach Earth, their core analysis shows solid heavy materials like iron, which justifies the presence of heavy core in Earth. For example, like analyzing a fallen brick from a building to understand the material used in the foundation. Next question, explain the role of seismic waves in understanding Earth's layer. So seismic waves change their speed and direction due to refraction as they pass through materials of different densities. By tracking these changes, we can map the boundaries between the crust, mantle and core. For example, like an ultrasound or X-ray that uses waves to see what is hidden inside the human body. Next question is distinguish between P waves and S waves based on their travel media. So P waves are longitudinal and can travel through gaseous, liquid, solid materials, and S waves or secondary waves are transverse and can only travel through solid materials. Next question, how do S waves prove that the outer core is liquid? Since the S waves cannot pass through liquids and we observed a massive shadow zone for S waves beyond 105 degree from the epicenter, it proves that the Earth has a liquid outer core that blocks them. For example, like a wall that stops a ball but allows sound to pass through. S waves are stopped by the liquid wall. Next question, what is the shadow zone of an earthquake? It is a specific area on the Earth's surface where seismographs do not detect specific waves. For P waves, it is between 105 degree and 145 degree. For S waves, it is the entire zone beyond 105 degree. Define the lithosphere as per NCERT. So lithosphere refers to the crust and the uppermost solid part of the mantle. Its thickness ranges up to 200 kilometer. It is brittle portion of the earth. Next question, what is the asthenosphere and why is it significant? Asthenosphere located just below the lithosphere up to 400 kilometers. It is a semi-fluid or plastic state. It is the main source of magma that finds its way to the surface during volcanic eruptions. For example, like a layer of thick jam or honey upon which a solid crater or lithosphere can slide. Explain the Moho discontinuity. Question number 10. Explain the Moho discontinuity. It is the boundary separating the crust from the mantle. There is a sharp increase in the velocity of seismic waves at this boundary due to the change in density. Next question. Why is the inner core solid despite extreme temperature? Although the temperature is high enough to melt iron, the overlaying pressure is so immense that it forces the atoms together into a solid state. For example, like a gas squeezed so hard in a cylinder that it turns into a solid. Next question, what is the Nephe layer? The core is called Nephe because it is composed of heavy materials, primarily nickel and iron. This gives Earth its high density and magnetic properties. Question number 13. How does gravity anomaly help in understanding the crust? We can answer like this. Gravity is not the same at all latitudes. It is stronger at poles and weaker at equator. The difference between the observed gravity value and the expected value is called gravity anomaly, which indicates the distribution of mass and or materials within the earth. Next question, compare the thickness of continental crust versus oceanic crust. So continental crust is thicker, average thickness is 30 kilometer and up to 70 kilometer in Himalayas, but less dense. And the oceanic crust is thinner, average thickness is 5 kilometer, but it is denser, primarily composed of basalt. Next question, describe the volcanic landforms as a source of information. So when magma reaches the surface as lava, we get direct samples of the mantle. However, it doesn't provide information about the deep core because magma originates from the asthenosphere. So next question, what is the difference between the epicenter and the focus or hypocenter? So focus is the point inside the earth where the energy is released. The epicenter is the point on the surface directly above the focus. It is the first to experience the waves. Next question, question number 17, distinguish between body waves and surface waves. Body waves, that is P and S waves, move through the interior. Surface waves move along the surface rocks. Surface waves are the last to report on the seismograph but are the most destructive. Next question, explain the magnitude versus intensity of an earthquake. So magnitude relates to the energy released, that is measured in Richter scale 0 to 10 scale, and intensity relates to the visible damage caused, measured on the Mercalli scale, that is 1 to 12. Next question, what is cinder cones in volcanic topography? So these are small volcanoes built from particles and blobs of congelated lava ejected from a single vent. They have a bowl-shaped crater at the summit, like a heap of sand poured through a funnel. Next and last question for today is, why is the study of Earth's interior essential for understanding plate tectonics? Because the movement of tectonic plates is driven by convection currents in the mantle. Without understanding the heat and fluid nature of the interior, we cannot explain why continents move or mountain form. सो फ्रेंड्स, इंटरव्यू में जब आपसे सिस्मिक वेव्स या अर्थ के लेयर्स के बारे में पूछा जाए तो कोशिश कीजिए कि आप एनसीईआरटी की ऑथेंटिक टर्मिनोलॉजी ही यूज़ करें. अगर आपका कंसेप्ट क्लियर है तो आप किसी भी ट्रिकी क्वेश्चन का आंसर कॉन्फिडेंस से दे सकते हैं. अगर आपको ये वीडियो हेल्पफुल लगा हो तो इस वीडियो को लाइक और अपने जियोग्राफी एक्सपीरियंस के साथ शेयर ज़रूर करें. अगर आप चैनल पर नए हो तो सब्सक्राइब करना मत भूलें. कमेंट में बताइए कि आपको नेक्स्ट वीडियो किस टॉपिक पर चाहिए. कीप लर्निंग, कीप टीचिंग. मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट वीडियो में. थैंक यू.